Now, the Hebrew date is the 22nd of Elul. It marks the Hilula of a famous rabbi, Rabbi Eliyahu Yaluz, Zecher Tzadik Bracha. He was born in the year 1860. He passed away in 1929, the 27th of September. We're talking about 96 years ago here from the time of recording. He was not just a great rabbi, he was a Posek, Halacha, rendering different Jewish laws. He was the head of Jewish court of Tiberias and a Shluchei D'Rabbanan and a rabbinic emissary. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. He was born actually in the year 1860, Hey Tafresh Chafsofit, and this was, I think, in Masgida, which is around the area of Tafilalat in Morocco, and came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi Yaluz, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Chana. And now, when he was approximately bar mitzvah in the year 1873, I think the family would actually embark on their journey to Eretz Israel, to land of Israel, respectively. And I think it will take a while where they would stop at various different other places which had prominent Jewish communities, including Fez, Tangier, and Alexandria over there. And I think eventually the family would move and stay in Tiberias. Remember, Tiberias is one of the four holy cities of Israel, along with Tzfat, Hebron, and also Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, respectively. 1875, he would get married to Rabbanit Simcha. I think he was still in his mid-teenage years at that point in time. This was the daughter, I think, of Rab David Asudri, if I'm not mistaken. I think we've spoken about him on various occasions before. And at that point in time, he would be dwelling and toiling in halacha, Jewish law, learning about it, and really learning a lot of Torah. And then afterwards, I think he would actually become part of the Beit Knesset, giving over drashot, the Beit Knesset Agdol in Tiberias. And this was under the request of many of the great rabbis of the city. Come on, 1890, years later on, he was about 30 years of age. He would go out as a Shluchei D'Rabbanan, a rabbinic emissary, to, I think, places in Morocco at that point in time, on behalf of the Tiberias congregation over there, to really mitzchazek, raise funds for it, for the Torah learners, and let's just say the families that were in need. He would, I think this traveling will be a 3-year one. He would go to Fez, he would go to Meknes, Safra, and Tangier over there. He would be learning and teaching also with some of the great rabbis and the community members of the congregation in those different places, respectively. In 1893, progress would be more made, where he'd now become the head of Jewish court. He'd be part of the Chaver Bet Din of Tiberias, and I think after several years, then he'll become the head of Jewish court. It will be a position he would keep for the rest of his life. So that would be comfortably, I'd assume more than 30 years. He would go out again on another trip, I think in Hey Tafresh Nun Tet. This time, I think more towards various cities of northern Africa. And that much has been, I think, chronicled within regards to his journeys, I think, by his son, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Yaluz. We'll speak a bit about him at the end of the video. I think in Hey Tafresh Samach Gimel, unfortunately in Tiberias, a plague broke out, and the family would actually have to move over there to Pekin at that stage in time. I think it's another place more on the northern part of Israel. I think it's part of a village, if I'm not mistaken, and so on and so forth. That was also, on top of the plague at that point in time, there was an outbreak of the First World War, which would actually move at that point in time. Obviously, I think the country was under rule of Turkish rule, and that would actually, obviously, then the British would actually come in at a later stage. So that is much is chronicled within regards to that. And I think he had British citizenship. I'm not so sure if he had, but I think that they would have to move outside at that point in time, and possibly maybe to the area of Crete, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll have to double check about that. And when the British did conquer the land of Israel, the family were able to return to Tiberias at that stage in time. So that's very, very interesting. So I think, come what the year 1929, his health weakened and he became ill. I think on the 22nd of Elul of that year, 1929, he sadly passed away. Now, I think it was in the year Hey Tafresh Tzadik Gimel, it was, and it maybe around the time period of 1953, I think, his son Rabbi Yosef Chaim Yaluz will publish his book, his writings, I think called Toldot Eliyahu, on the life of his father. Now let's explore some of the books with regards to Rabbi Eliyahu Yaluz. He was a great darshan, rabbi, giving over various different sermons. He would write various different books also, including Eliyahu Yaluz, Petach Eliyahu, Chelek Aleph. This was, I think, printed in Jerusalem, and also the Chelek Bet of that book, once again printed in Jerusalem. Yesh Ma'ayan, this was a shut, She'elot Shuvot, question and answers. This was divided up into 2 sections over there, and once again printed in Jerusalem. Then there was Maaseh Eliyahu, which was Dinei Kedushin. This was once again in Jerusalem. Then the Hilchot Ishot Shut She'elot Shuvot, question and answer book, once again in Jerusalem. Zimirot Yisrael, this was a Perush on the book of Psalms of Tehillim. And then there was the Torah or Mitzvah. This was I think this was concentrating on 613 mitzvot, respectively, on the Rambam and the Smag and various other different, let's just say, drush v'halacha, respectively. So that was also written at that stage in time. So very interesting. Let's explore a few more highlights with regards to him. As we can see, he was, it's interesting. I think his mother name, as we mentioned before, was Rabbi Netzchana. She was a daughter of Rabbi Mordechai Fadidia. I think Rav Mordechai Fadidia we actually did mention in a video in the past, if I'm not mistaken, and he happened to have been a great rabbi, I believe, at obviously once when he was alive, respectively. So maybe we'll speak about him also. Again, we've spoken about the rabbinic dynasty of the Fadidia family. Many of them were great rabbanim, so we have to point that out. Okay, so I think so as we mentioned before, in 1873 he would actually come on and moved to Eretz Israel, and obviously in that point in time, whenever there was traveling, it wasn't so safe. It was there were risks going out at that point in time. So we did mention about that, and you can see he achieved a huge amount in his lifetime all throughout. So coming and going from city to city, especially during time periods of the war and the various plagues that took place, and doing the Rabbanon roles, it was really a huge amount. Let's explore the highlights from his book. I think from the Petach Eliyahu, from Chelek Bet, for example, it says Mefresh, B'kupa shel tzedakah nitzal mimavet, u'miyad liad matzil mimavet. This is once again featured from the Hayami website. Nada teaching says Mashib le'inyan haskarat batim be'eretz Yisrael. This also from the first Chelek of the book, I think in Siman Tet Vav Bet, respectively. Amudim Kuftav Tet Vav, I think 115, respectively. Another one, Mefresh Kochavei Hashamayim Al Tzedakah V'chol Al Tzafat Hayam Al Mishpat. This is another teaching there from Petach Eliyahu. From Chelek Bet, which we also have to point out over here. And there's even more teachings coming, some highlights using the Hayami website. Mevi Remez Shedod Zacha B'malchut, Shedavid Zacha B'malchut, B'zchuto B'zchut Avotav. This is from the Zmirot Yisrael from page number 10. And one last teaching, Meshavech Shivtei Yisrael Kulam Kedushim V'Kulam Hoshvu Ba Lo'odot. This actually comes from page 212 from the Zmirot Yisrael. So you can see he was a very great rabbi of his time. I believe his father's name was Rabbi David Vakin, another famous rabbi who happened to have been the head of Jewish courts. He was a Sephardi rabbi of Tiberias also, respectively. He was also Moroccan, I think, from Demanat beforehand. And obviously, Rabbi David Vakin was had many great descendants, including Rabbi Shimon Vakin, for example, who would go on to become another great rabbi, Shochei de Rabbanan, and a Dayan in Israel. I think he was actually a Chatan of Rabbi Abraham Abu Chatzar. He would also have a descendant called Rabbi Meir Vaknin, also, who was a Sephardi rabbi and head of Jewish court of Tiberias. So really, they would become a great Tiberias family in of itself. Now let's say something about his son, Rabbi Yosef Chaim Yaluz. He was also author of many books. He lived, I believe, till 1961, and he was also from Tiberias. Obviously, he was over there. And we could say much more within regards to his greatness, his brilliance, his son's brilliance. I think he actually passed on 29th of July 1961. He was also a Shluchei de Rabbanan. He will take on various different other roles. And he actually would learn under auspices of Rabbi Yaakov Chai Zerihin, another famous rabbi from Tiberias, and Rabbi Moshe Meir Chai Eliakim. These are really great rabbis of their time. And you see, he really made his mark in Tiberias, in the holy city itself, respectively. I think he was the author of various different great books. I believe he had sons, including Rab Moshe Aaron, if I'm not mistaken, and Rab Abraham Nissim. So that would be naturally grandchildren to Rabbi Yaluz, who we're speaking about today inside this series. Among his sons' books includes Otzei Yosef, This was a remembrance of the Rabbanim. The Shem Yosef also, Shemot, the names of the Rabbanim, from Tiberias. Tov Ra'i, the Tov Shem, Yalkut Yosef, Inyanim on different matters. Yemei Chayai, which is various different drashot. Ma'oz Chayai, this was on Torah Nevi'im Ketuvim, the Tanakh. Zichronot Rabbanim, Tov Rabbanei Yisrael, Tiberias, Baprat. And I think several other books also he would actually be responsible for. And his actual, one of the Talmidim of his son, of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Yaluz, happens to be Rabbi Yitzchak Barda, happens to be a great, let's just say, Kiruv outreach rabbi and famous rabbi in of itself, and Rosh Mostot of Yitzchak Yar 9. But be it as may, he was a really great rabbi, Rabbi Eliyahu Yaluz. So it's his Hilula over here. Don't forget to light candles in memory here on the 22nd of Elul. Now friends, we are a community here. We are learning about the great Oriental, Spanish, Ottoman rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the great rabbis we happen to be speaking about, please don't hesitate. Send me an email. I would love to hear more information of the great rabbanim. Maybe we've already recorded a video about the great Chacham, and I recommend everyone to look at the stories of the Tzaddikim section, where you can find out about some of the brilliant rabbis from all these vicinities, respectively. Now, another great news is that we are nearing a staggering 7,500 subscribers. So it's a phenomenal achievement. Let's try and get to that by around Rosh Hashanah period, hopefully. So that I'll have to also state on the outset. And if you feel anyone over here, any of your friends is interested in watching any of these videos, please share these videos also to other people so that they can grow and can learn more about the great Chacham of yesteryear. And may the schot of the Rabbanim be protecting the whole of Am Yisrael. Let's see the rebuilding of the third Beit HaMikdash ASAP, hopefully now, Be'ezrat Hashem, and wishing you brachot from Israel. Just recording this here just after Parashat Ki Tavo. It happened to have been yesterday, and now we're coming into the Parashiot of Nitzavim territory also this week. So I think on that note, I wish you all a good night, because I'm recording this late, once again from the city of Bet Shemesh in central Israel. So wishing you well, and appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.